Is this a robust economy or a robust, rather, market that's dependent on a more robust economic recovery going forward into 2022 and 23?
It is both of those things. It's robust. The recovery is robust, but the recovery might be too robust, Dom, because as you know and as you've reported, inflation is running at the highest clip that we've seen in years. And of course, this is engineered by the Fed. They were hoping for this. Now, the question is, once they get what they want, Dom, do they really want as much as they've got? Right now, we're seeing, 5.4, 5.5% in that range, inflation year over year. And that certainly says that there's demand out there and that people are spending that money. The question is whether or not that inflationary jump that we've seen in airlines, in used cars, new cars, in food prices, in gasoline, whether all of those inputs end up changing a little bit of the way the world looks at this particular recovery, which has been, as you say, very robust.
I mean, John, we're showing all the viewers out there and listeners a chart of the 10-year Treasury note yield. Now, we know that massive amounts of central bank intervention are in many ways distorting what's happening with Treasury and credit markets right now. But still, do you believe that this inflation story is transitory, like the Fed is saying? Because right now you can earn 1.4% for 10 years on U.S. credit. Yeah. That certainly, John, does not appear to me, at least, and I'm a novice in the bond markets, it doesn't appear to me that signals any kind of runaway inflation.
No, and it tells you about the extreme demand there is for treasuries right now, especially with that yield that you just described, with so much of the rest of the world still in more or less negative territory, Dom. So I think there's going to be that search for yield. Clearly, that's one of the things that's holding it back. The Treasury just got a bunch of money from the receipts for taxes, and that meant that there were less demand by the Treasury to go out and raise more money in the short term. Now, I think that will be changing as we go into the fall, Dom. So one of those issues about transitory is that I don't think in particular it will be as transitory as many think.
All right. So we can't talk about the interest rate and inflation picture without bringing in the banks into the discussion. We are in the beginning part of this big bank earnings season. You saw the results from J.P. Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs. That, I was speaking with Karen Feinerman over the last couple of days. She didn't like the setup because she said these banks were rallying into earnings and maybe part of the reason for the sell-off there yesterday. Do you still feel as though there's a constructive trade for the banks? And how much will B of A, Citi, and Wells Fargo tell you about the overall health of the banking sector?
I think they're, in particular, of course, Bank of America is going to tell us a lot about the consumer rather than their trading or, the fixed side of this. I think, Dom, that most of the speculation that we've been seeing is just really centered on one bank, and that's Wells Fargo. Most of the other banks we were seeing protective trades that people in the short term, like in the next month, 30 days or so, let's say, till August expiration, people were looking to protect gains that banks have made rather than betting that they go higher. The one exception was Wells Fargo. They were still buying upside calls, a speculative call in Wells Fargo because of that recovery story, not the economic recovery, but that bank's recovery story, I think, Dom.
Now, John, we've just got a few moments left here. Is there a part of the market specifically that you're seeing much more bullish activity outside the banks?
Yes, sir. Chinese stocks. These were just slammed, of course, for the last several weeks with Didi, Tencent, Alibaba, but now that's flipping around. I'm not saying that it's such a huge change, Dom, that we're going to just see sweeping moves to the upside. But in Alibaba yesterday and for the last several days, we've seen upside call buying, JD, as well as YY. All three of those upside call speculation.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.